Marco Bezzecchi arrived at Silverstone with a surgically repaired collarbone, a repaired knee, and one line for everyone who asked. He was still not 100%. He had not raced since Assen 6 weeks earlier. His preparation was a gym and a production road bike he rode just before he got here. Then he went out on Friday afternoon and took almost a full second off the fastest lap anybody has ever ridden around this circuit, and half a second behind him, on the same factory Aprilia, sat the man leading the World Championship. So what exactly has Jorge Martin been telling his own garage for the last 2 months? And what happens to that story now? This is not a Friday timesheet story. Martin goes into this weekend 14 points clear of Ogura and 18 clear of Marc Marquez, with the top 5 covered by 24 points. One bad Sunday flips that whole order. And for months, the explanation coming out of the factory side of the Aprilia box has been consistent. The bike is not letting him ride the way he wants to ride. Friday did not just contradict that. It ran the experiment in public, put 4 Aprilias in the top 5, and left the answer sitting on the timing screen in front of everyone in that garage. Start with what Bezzecchi actually did. He broke his left collarbone at the Sachsenring, a complete and displaced fracture, the kind that ends your weekend where you land. He flew home to Italy for surgery. Then, over the break, he had a second procedure on a knee that had also been damaged. He missed both German races and slipped to 4th in the standings, 22 points off the lead, while everyone quietly moved him from title contender to next year problem. He was second fastest in the first session on Friday morning. That alone should have set off an alarm. Then, in the afternoon, on the last lap, with the checkered flag already out, he put in a 1 minute 56.280. Fabio Quartararo's record from last year was a 1 minute 57.233. Bezzecchi did not shave it. He erased it. Behind him, Raul Fernandez was second on a satellite Trackhouse machine. Fabio Di Gianantonio split the Aprilias in third. Martin was 4th, Ogura 5th. 8 riders in total went under the old record. And that is where this stops being a comeback story. Because Martin's account of his own situation has been specific, and he has repeated it. After the German Grand Prix, he said, "We currently stand no chance against the Ducati bikes, or even against the Trackhouse bikes with supposedly identical technology." Listen to that second half again. Supposedly identical technology. That is a factory rider drawing a line between his machine and the satellite machines, and telling you the line should not be there. And to be fair to Martin, he has never claimed the machine alone is at fault. His own words were, "We are really far away from the rest and really far away from the other Aprilias." From one side, this is good because it means that the bike is working, but there is something that we are not understanding well. That is a more honest sentence than he usually gets credit for. But Friday tested it on his terms, not on ours. The Trackhouse bike with supposedly identical technology, in Raul Fernandez's hands, finished 0.165 of a second up the road from him. And the factory bike, the one he says will not let him push, ridden by a man who had not raced in 6 weeks and had come through 2 operations, was half a second quicker. And, oh yeah, there is one more part of this, and nobody in that garage says it out loud. Jorge Martin does not ride for Aprilia next year. Yamaha confirmed him and Ogura on the 1st of July for 2027 and 2028. So the man leading this championship on an Aprilia and the man sitting second in it on an Aprilia are both Yamaha riders already in everything except the calendar. Bezzecchi is the one on the long-term deal. Bezzecchi is the one still standing in that box next spring. That reframes every setup argument happening inside that garage. People thought Aprilia had a bike problem. Aprilia has a loyalty problem, and the bike complaints are just the noise it makes. Massimo Rivola has stopped pretending otherwise. Aprilia's chief executive said the only way to get the maximum out of the RSGP is by eliminating what he called the toxins in the team. That is not a man discussing front-end grip. Back in June, when both riders were still smiling in front of cameras, Rivola already said the quiet part. Sooner or later, one of the two won't be happy. but we will try to manage. 4 weeks later, one of them signed for Yamaha. 2 months later, the other one broke the lap record on a repaired collarbone. And what sits under it is not clean either. At the Hungarian Grand Prix, Martin lost the front braking for turn 1 and collected Bezzecchi on his way through, taking both of them out. Martin apologised publicly and called for the team to be more united than ever. Bezzecchi was later asked whether anything had changed between them. He gave one word: no. And listen to how Martin himself sounded arriving at this circuit, one day before his teammate rewrote the record. Asked about leading the World Championship, he said, "Yeah, it's crazy. I don't understand why I'm leading the championship." Then he added, "I think the rest need to check what they are doing wrong." He meant it as a joke. It plays very differently now because the rest checked, and one of them was parked on the other side of his own garage wall. Here is the part Martin should be most worried about. On Friday, the threat to his lead was not red at all. Marc Marquez was 6th on Friday. Francesco Bagnaia crashed at turn 7, ended up 13th, and goes into Q1 again. The two Ducatis everyone has been watching all season were nowhere near the front of that timesheet. The pressure on Jorge Martin is now coming from inside his own box, from a teammate who has been out injured, and from a satellite rider on the same technology he has been questioning. So here is where it lands. Aprilia does not have a bike problem. 4 of them finished in the top 5, and the fastest lap ever ridden at this circuit now belongs to one of them. Aprilia has a 2-rider problem, and the arithmetic of it is brutal. The rider they must back to win this championship is the one who walks out in December. The rider who was fastest on the property on Friday is the one who signed to stay. Martin is not wrong that something is off on his side of the garage. He is wrong about where it lives. It is not in the chassis. It is in a room where the championship leader is a departing employee, where his Yamaha teammate for next year sits in the satellite garage across the way, and every engineer in there knows exactly which rider they will still be working with next season. That is not a setup issue. You cannot fix that with a different front spring. 4 days before Friday's session, Martin gave an interview in which he said of his team boss, "I believe he'll do everything he can to let me win, so I'm calm about it." Calm is doing a lot of work in that sentence. Rivola said he would manage it. Sunday is when managing it stops being a word and turns into a decision. Bezzecchi did not come back to prop up somebody else's title run. He came back to take it. So who does Aprilia actually protect now? The man leaving or the man staying? Let us know in the comments below. And once you do that, make sure to click on the video appearing on your screen right now.